other day that they sympathize with Palestinians by more than 43 points at this point. That
Wait, is she still at her honeymoon, or is she back from her honeymoon? Because is she back? That's crazy. She's tuning in, doing work on the honeymoon.
you still see this reflexive reaction
Oh, she's
because
back
of
on
his
Monday. Okay.
faith from members of this of the party here, trying to shut him down and trying to negate his message, especially when Democrats are talking about, oh gosh, we have to bring young people and young men back into the fold. The youth vote in this race was absolutely overwhelming. Pollsters, I think, estimated prior to the race that 18 to 44-year-olds would be around 30% of the electorate. They were nearly half. So if we want to bring young people back into the fold, this tactic of trying to silence him or not endorse him, it's the absolute wrong way to go.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I mean, I want to be clear here about the there's sort of two things going on with him. I mean, there's this really Islamophobic and disgusting sort of racist attacks as othering. His politics on the question of Israel and Palestine, he co-founded Students for Justice in Palestine. He was an advocate for boycott, divestment, sanctions. Like, his politics on that are politics that a lot of people in the Democratic Party do not share and oppose on the merits. I just want to make the distinction. Like, some people just don't like what he says about the issue because they have different views. One of the things that you end up having to do, Faz, in Democratic coalitional politics, which I think is one of the things I think he's done very well, is that's kind of what happens in coalitional politics. Like, you are going to have views that people don't like, and you're going to.
Yeah, except who is this for? Like, the Democrats have a different view on genocide. It's true. They're fucking monsters on that. But the problem is the Democrat Party view, the party line amongst the politicians, is directly at odds with the people's position, with the fucking overwhelming majority of Democratic Party voters. So it bears repeating. You must ask this question over and over again. Who is this for then? If you are a representative, if you are a public servant, if you are supposed to represent the interests of your constituencies, and your constituency is diametrically opposed to your output on this issue, who are you representing actually?
I have to figure out how to talk to people about it, not just sort of like abandon those views and double back because that looks totally inauthentic, but also focus on the things where you do have the kind of maximal amount of power and consent.
Yeah, like, I don't think the Democratic Party leadership is quite calibrated to the 105-point divide between the GOP voters and Dem voters. From what you know about the situation in the Middle East, do your sympathies lie more with the Israelis or more with the Palestinians? Republicans say 64% lie with the Israelis. Democrats say 60% lie with the Palestinians. It's not even a question. Like, if you are a Democrat, it's over. Your voters do not fuck with Israel at all, okay? Your voters are on the fuck Israel train. But the party, if you were to look at just the party alone, you would think that there is a 60% pro-Israel sentiment amongst the fucking base. You would think that the overwhelming majority of Democratic voters' sympathy lies with the Israelis, when it's the exact opposite.
And I think, my criticism of a current modern Democratic Party is it's lacking in grassroots-ism. And here comes Zoran building from a grassroots coalition, a constituency of people who care deeply about not only this issue, a whole set of issues around affordability. And I would hope that more Democrats would heed it and say, hey, maybe there's something to learn from this. Maybe even, you know, on a whole set of issues, is there something that we could sit down and talk to him about and gather his inputs on rather than...
Yeah, they leaned on Ossoff after his first vote to block weapons to Israel before flipping on the second vote to approve weapons. And it's really interesting because John Ossoff is Jewish. Jewish Georgia leaders say Ossoff is making amends, but still has more work to do. They literally went in. They made the boss call. John Ossoff is Jewish, and it was like, I don't think we should be giving weapons to Israel. This is fucked up. And they literally fucking made a boss call and made him pack that shit up real quick. Yeah, he voted with Bernie Sanders to block aid to Israel. All right, look at the fucking sinister framework here at play. Like, Georgia Jews only care about giving weapons to Israel. Excuse me. Like, is that even the case? Also, you don't just represent the Jewish population of Georgia anyway, even if that was the case. You represent the entire base of support from Georgia, and it's not fucking... It's not, especially on the Democratic side, is not even a question. It's not even a question. It's like, this is not, you are going against the wishes of your voters at that point.
To stiff arm him and push this entire coalition away, which of course is why a lot of the coalition that Zoran has won has felt pushed out of the Democratic Party. He brought people back in.
Yeah, I remember this. I remember this fucking psychotic letter. Atlanta letter to Senators Ossoff and Warnock on their vote to block arms sales to Israel. They were like, you better not do that. Bro, they hit like insane notes. It's like, look at this. Jewish Fertility Foundation. Jewish kids groups demands that John Ossoff send weapons to the apartheid state. It's like, bro, do you have no shame at all? Like, this right here is a perfect demonstration of what I'm talking about. All these fucking advocacy groups and shit, they're all operating with one goal in mind. Like, they don't give a fuck about whatever their primary focus is supposed to be. Like, what do you mean Jewish kids groups and Jewish Home Life and Jewish Fertility Foundation signed off on a letter that said you must give more weapons to Israel? Synagogues, houses of worship being like, no, you don't understand. This is like the most important thing for us. Jewish kids groups. Yeah, it's in the name. Our job is to, kill Palestinian kids. Is that what it is? Is that what the primary focus is for Jewish kids groups?
Who had been not voting in 2024. So, it's frustrating, but this is part of a billionaire agenda. To be clear, you have Bill Ackman, you got Barry Diller, you got a whole bunch of people, Mayor Bloomberg, who all are dumping money in. And so you'll see these smear attacks. You'll see them from Trump because they want Eric Adams. They want an indicted mayor of New York City to return. And so you're going to have distraction, the politics of distraction for sure.
Well, but there's something he does that I think reminds me of what Bernie Sanders, I think, has done quite effectively. I mean, I should note, Waleed Shahid published this great analysis we've had on the show of like mainstream media coverage of Mamdani, which has been like overwhelmingly about Israel and Palestine and Gaza, even though that was not at all the focus of his campaign at all. And in fact, like he would get asked it by the media, but he was always talking about affordability. And Emma, one of the things I think he does well that reminds me of Sanders is he gets this Venn diagram of stuff that he believes in, that's progressive policy, and that sound good to a lot of people, a rent freeze. And he'll talk about other stuff, and he doesn't run away from his values on that sort of stuff. But like Bernie Sanders, who I have interviewed literally hundreds of times, he will turn you back to those talking points about the stuff he wants to focus on over and over and over again, where he feels most confident he's got the biggest audience.
Absolutely. And Faz knows this, working for the OG Sanders here. But like, this is how you beat billionaires, and you combat a campaign finance system that is immensely corrupt. Now in New York City, we have matching funds, and that's a huge, I think, model for the rest of the country as to how to combat this influx of corporate money that is now completely dominating the Republican Party. But you have, as Faz just said, Bill Ackman, DoorDash, Mike Bloomberg, all just pouring in endless money into the Fix the City super PAC because basically Citizens United since 2010 said we're going to merge corporate personhood and we're going to make it so that corporations can have unabridged speech because speech equals money, like Buckley D. Vallejo said. And this has created this toxic storm that has brought us to this moment of oligarchy. And it's just incredible to me that you can have Andrew Cuomo, who has like the litany of just absolute scandals behind him, but who also on this issue of Israel-Palestine recently volunteered his services for Benjamin Netanyahu as his lawyer on ICC war crimes charges in late 2024. When Israel had already been accused of committing genocide by countless credible scholars and by Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International. So you have a guy who's lapping up Trump donor money, billionaire money, and offering to defend a man who is slaughtering hundreds of innocent people a day. And National Democrats are flummoxed that primary voters weren't into this kind of thing, specifically because I do think there is another racism here or bigotry that's not being talked about, which is the assumption that Jewish voters are going to just be led by this one particular issue. New York City has one of the largest Jewish populations in the world. And I found a lot of the rhetoric about what they thought, what a lot of national pundits thought Jewish voters would do in this race to be pretty anti-Semitic. Turns out Jewish New Yorkers are like everybody else. We're voting, and it's the economy, stupid, as Carville would say, right? These are kitchen table issues.
Yeah, this is the thing about when you get to the number. There's a million Jewish folks in New York City, roughly. It's a city of 8 million people. It's a thing, Faz, that like you always have to come back to with every group, and this is a thing that we all fall prey to, I think, in political analysis. Like when you're talking about a million of anyone, like people got a lot of different views inside that million.
Yeah. Also, Jews voted 75% for the Democratic Party this last election cycle, and Israel was in the 9th out of the top 11 concerns. It ranked as 9th priority. So clearly there's some other reasons, regardless of the fact that America is uniparty on Israel and foreign policy. Clearly, Jewish voters are not prioritizing Israel as a primary concern. This doesn't mean that there aren't Jews who do think Israel is their primary concern. I'm sure there are plenty of them that vote consistently for the Republican Party. Okay? Gabish?
Million. Like that's a lot of people, and there's a kind of shortcutting that ends up happening a lot, particularly in Democratic politics, because it's such a diverse coalition.
And to try to address the coalitional politics you were talking about earlier, to bring people together around a common set of agenda. This is why Bernie Sanders and myself go back to the things that we know that huge amounts of Jewish Americans, Muslim Americans, Asian Americans, you name them, are going to feel, hey, can I talk to you about the issues around busing? Can I talk to you around the issues of housing? If I talk to you about the issues of childcare, how much will that resonate with you? They'll start to hear. And we are frogs boiling in water in the sense that the politics all around us has become this kind of sense of elitism-driven politics. Here in the Senate, not only do you have this kind of bill that you've been talking about all day, and then you got crypto. How do these things get moved to the top of the agenda? And here you have, if you were to describe the AOC politics, the Bernie politics, the Mamdani politics, is to say you're on behalf of people. What would it look like if you said, hey, you know, the number one agenda item is we're going to talk about housing costs. It's so, to many people, it's like crazy that it's not on the agenda anywhere. Why? Because we don't have a working class politics that drives the agenda. People know that.
Speaking of people going absolutely insane mode over the prosecution of Israel's unpopularity, the British police have arrested protesters on suspicion of terror offenses after Palestine Action was banned. Palestine Action was banned after one of the direct actions that they engaged in, where they went to the Royal Air Force planes, like they went to a Royal Air Force plane hangar and spray painted some of these planes that were supposed to ship weapons to Israel with red paint. And the government worked to proscribe Palestine Action as a terrorist group. So now, when you say that you are pro-Palestine Action, it is akin in the UK, in the United Kingdom, to saying that you are pro-ISIS. Terror offenses from that bill can hold up to a 14-year prison sentence. And in the process of this, they also arrested an 80-year-old priest for holding up a sign that says, "I support Palestine actions." Only a handful of MPs voted in opposition to prescription. Prescription is the process in which, in the UK, a group is prescribed to be a terror organization. They have it for like ISIS. They added cynically a couple Nazi groups into this bill as well in an effort to make sure it passed. Okay. And now they're packing people up. By the way, JD Vance, you were completely correct that we do not have freedom of speech in this country, and you shouldn't have let Keir Starmer openly lie to you that we do. She faces now up to 14 years in prison and a criminal record as a terrorist, significantly limiting her ability to travel. In British law, she is the equivalent of an ISIS operative. Here is the extent of the British police deployed to arrest a handful of priests, professors, and activists for holding up signs that say, "I oppose genocide, I support Palestine action." Think about that. Think about how fucking insane that is. I, of course, posted about this as well, even though Philip Proudfoot is adding JD Vance about the lack of free speech in the UK. I say JD Vance and Marco Rubio made a big show of how horrible the free speech rules were in the UK. Now that it's an actual egregious, cynical violation of free expression because it's against Israel, they'll say nothing. Hell, they champion the same restrictions here. Add insult to injury, Keir Starmer himself defended a group of anti-war protesters against the Iraq war that did the exact same thing that Palestine Action did.
Are you here today? I'm here to stand up for the people of Palestine and the fact that this organisation is a terrorist organisation, which is terrorist, and that we are losing our civil liberties.
Like the cop, the booby, is holding on to this dangerous terrorist, okay? This dangerous terrorist woman. Once again, technically, under British law, I'm currently showing you terrorism propaganda. Do you understand how fucking stupid that is? Hopefully this will shed a little bit of light onto how stupid the terrorism designation is and how little it should matter for normal human beings. Okay? Because right now I am technically promoting a dangerous terrorist group according to the United Kingdom. This lady is, under the eyes of the law as of today, basically an ISIS affiliate.
You make us proud, auntie. Look after yourself.
You're a hero. You are a hero.
They're going to ban you for this? Be careful. No, the fuck they're not, dude. You're out of your mind. That would be the absolute dumbest thing that anyone could ever do. No. Please stop with this fucking insane fear mongering. Are you out of your fucking mind? Oh.
You, not so much. Free Palestine!
Look at this clip from England. The cognitive dissonance is insane.
A national.
Yeah, I already covered this the other day. I know. Yeah, British nationals who commit war crimes and participate in genocide are allowed, no questions asked, back into the UK. Also, a recent BBC story revealed that MI5 was protecting a neo-Nazi informant who was a known abuser and lied to courts about it. So I don't think our Prime Minister human rights lawyer gives a shit. Yeah. Add insult to injury, though, like I said, when he was a human rights lawyer, he defended in the courts, in the British court system, he defended someone who did a protest, did the exact same thing as Palestine Action, which was to spray paint planes that were fucking, I think to spray paint or dump paint on planes that were supposed to fly to Iraq.
Why are you here?
I understand America's dedication towards defending Israel, but it really confused me as to why UK takes such draconian action when it comes to things associated with Israel. I guess they're working towards Western interests, but I don't know. What do you mean? Israel is initially a British settler colony. Israel was created by England. Israel was created by the British. They made it. And they've actively participated in the genocide. At least currently, today, they have no reason to. They currently have no reason to do all of this. The reason why they're doing this is because they want to feel powerful. It's so fucking stupid.